Good morning and welcome. My name is Dave Knopf and I'm the commander of the Hanford area office of the California Highway Patrol. I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here for our memorial dedication and celebration honoring Officer Dean Esquibel. I am pleased to commence this tribute honoring he and his family. On August 8th, 1985, Officer Dean Esquibel, ID 11289, was serving the community of Kings County and the people of the state of California when he was tragically taken in the performance of the profession he so dearly loved. Today, we are gathered here to honor Officer Esquibel, his memory, his commitment to service, and the family who loved and adored him. We will begin the celebration with a presentation of the colors. Would you please stand for the presentation by the Central Division Honor Guard and remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Marcus Zellis and then the invocation. Uniform personnel, please don your covers.
Personnel, present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Uniform personnel, order on.
Thank you, Mr. Zellis. Wow, what a great rendition. Unbelievable. With us today, we're honored to have Lemoore Police Department Chaplain Gene Pensiero to lead us in the invocation. Chaplain?
When David heard the news that King Saul and his son Jonathan had been slain while protecting God's people, he wrote a lament, and in it 3 times he cried, "How are the mighty fallen." Please join with me as I pray for our memorial service today honoring Officer Esquibel. Bow your heads. Father in heaven, today we too cry out, "How are the mighty fallen." Dean Esquibel was mighty when he swore the oath to serve and protect, He was mighty in his daily commitment and vigilance to be our shield against crime and against harm. And he was mighty in sacrificing his own life so we might live. May everything that is said and done here today honor the memory of this fallen man, as well as express our sincerest gratitude to his family. I pray too that the bridge dedicated in his name, with its memorial signage, would be a source of inspiration to others in the California Highway Patrol, to those in law enforcement, to those in fire services, and to all first responders who put their life on the line for us. And I pray that every individual who takes note of the sign would reflect on how precious and fragile life is, and be deeply thankful for all those who are sworn to serve and to protect. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Pincero. Please remove your covers and be seated. Well, we are here today to pay tribute to Officer Esquibel, who paid the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. I believe it is equally important to recognize the family left behind. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the spouse of our fallen officer, Christine Lewis, and his mother, Joan Huerta. On behalf of the members of the Hanford area, we would like to present to you these flowers in remembrance of your loss and sacrifice. I would also like to recognize Dean's father, Alex, as well as his sister, Sandra, his brothers, Sandy, Tony, and Curtis, as well as Dean's son, Justin, who's an Army National Guard sergeant and a veteran of Operations Iraqi and Enduring Freedom. It seems Justin has followed in his father's path to service. Today, we have the pleasure of having a variety of special guests present, some of who have offered to share a few words and or make presentations in Dean's honor. We're truly thankful to have you all with us today. Our first presentation comes from the office of Congressman David Valadeo. I'd like to ask District Director Justin Mendez to the podium. Justin is the representative of Congressman David Valadeo. Justin. Two Justins. Got to keep them all straight. Thank you, Justin, and Congressman Valadeo. I would now like to invite District Representative Daniel Medina, who is here to represent Senator Andy Vidak, say a few words and make a presentation to Justin. Mr. Medina.
Just want to say thank you very much for having us here. We are very humbled to have been able to be a part of this on behalf of this office.
He didn't know it, but he's going to give a speech too. Thank you, Representative Medina and Senator Vidak. I would now like to invite the author of the Officer Dean Esquibel Memorial Bridge Resolution, ACR 69, Assembly Member Rudy Salas.
Thank you, Lieutenant Commander Knopf, for that introduction. But I do want to share a couple of words. But first, before I do that, I do want to thank Officer Esquibel's family for being here. I know they were mentioned earlier. Son Justin, thank you. Sister Sandra, brothers Sandy, Tony, and Curtis, his widow Christine, his father Alex and his mother Joan. You know, today we're here to honor Officer Dean Esquibel. Officer Esquibel was known as a hard-working, dedicated officer who served with devotion to duty and unwavering dedication to his family, to the uniform, and the law enforcement community. You know, just speaking with a couple of individuals, I think what today really reminds us is how precious life is, and how in a moment's notice it can be taken away, and that it's our duty to recognize those sacrifices that the family continues to endure day in and day out from the tragedy that occurred. You know, Officer Esquibel exemplified the true character of the brave men and women who devote their time and energy to the perilous duties of law enforcement. And this is shared across every one of our peace officers that puts on a uniform, that puts on a badge, and that goes out to protect all citizens, to protect our community. You know, in recognition of Officer Esquibel's devotion to duty, I was honored, I was privileged to carry Assembly Concurrent Resolution 69, which designates the Cross Creek Bridge on State Route 198 in honor of CHP Officer Dean Esquibel, naming that the Memorial Bridge. It's my hope that as people cross that bridge, they remember the sacrifice, they remember the honor, they remember the duty of what it means for us to live in a free society, what it means for us to be able to go home at night and be safe with our families. That peace of mind only occurs because of the dedication and the sacrifice of so many before us. So I have with me a resolution, memorial resolution, on behalf of the state of California that I'd like to present to the family. I do have several whereas comments in here, but I do want to take the moment to at least read a couple of them, just so everybody that didn't know Officer Esquibel personally will know some of his work. So if you'll permit me, I'd like to read just a couple. It starts off, whereas Californians are indebted every day to our California Highway Patrol officers, and we pay special tribute to their bravery and dedication. And whereas on August 21st, 1985, the state suffered a tragic loss when CHP Officer Dean Esquibel made the ultimate sacrifice while performing his sworn duty, and in recognition thereof, we pause to honor him, a fallen hero, by recalling his devotion, celebrating his life, and honoring his service. Whereas Officer Dean Esquibel was born on July 31st, 1962 in Greensboro, North Carolina, the son of Joan and Alex Esquibel, the brothers to Curtis, Sandra, Sandy, and Tony. And whereas shortly after graduating from Morosi High School in 1980, Officer Dean Esquibel joined the police academy through the College of the Sequoias, and upon his graduation, he was assigned to the Orange Cove Police Department and did undercover work for the Dinuba Police Department prior to joining the Department of the California Highway Patrolmen. And whereas Officer Dean Esquibel was a devoted husband of Christine, whom he married on June 21st, 1981, and the proud father of his wonderful son Justin, born August 22nd, 1983. And in his spare time, he enjoyed fishing, bike riding, and spending time with his family. And whereas on April 2nd, 1984, Officer Esquibel entered the CHP Patrol Academy, and upon graduation, wearing badge number 11289, he was assigned to the Hanford area office, where he proudly served the department for approximately 1 year. Whereas Officer Esquibel was a hard-working, dedicated officer who loved his job, enjoyed the people with whom he worked, and was known and respected by friends and family for being a loyal family man and a wonderful father and husband. And whereas remembered by his colleagues for his devotion to duty and unwavering dedication to his family, the uniform, and the law enforcement community, all of which which are undeniably and inseparable in his life. Officer Esquibel exemplified the true character of the brave men and women who devote their time and energy to the perilous duties of law enforcement. And whereas, in recognition of Officer Esquibel's devotion to duty, Assembly Concurrent Resolution Number 69, enacted as Resolution Chapter 143 of the Statutes of 2013, designates the Cross Creek Bridge on State Route 198 in Kings County as a CHP Officer Dean Esquibel Memorial Bridge. This is a resolution. I know this is just but a small token of what your family has sacrificed for the betterment of our community. I just want to say thank you, and it truly is valuable.
Thank you, Assemblymember Salas. I would like to invite the California Association of Highway Patrolmen District 1 Director Mike Cantrell to the podium.
Morning. On behalf of the entire board of directors, I just want to say to the entire Esquibel family, what an honor it is for the California Association of Highway Patrolmen to be able to play a minor role in getting a portion of Highway 198 and the Cross Creek Bridge named as the CHP Officer Dean J. Esquibel Memorial Bridge. Each day, hundreds of CHP officers and thousands of law enforcement officers from around the country and many, many more men and women of our armed forces put on their uniform and go out and protect the citizens of this state and this great country. They are fathers, mothers, husbands, wives, sons, daughters. But one thing they all have in common is that none of them would want to be considered heroes. This is exactly what happened on August 21st, 1985. A husband and father put his uniform on and went to work, not because he considered himself a hero, but because he had a genuine concern and a desire to protect his fellow citizens from harm. And there is a part of the CHP Code of Honor every officer takes that states, "Lay down my life rather than swerve from the path of duty." This is exactly the code that Officer Esquibel and Officer De La Cruz upheld when they began chasing a fleeing motorcycle, and it cost Officer Esquibel his life. But if Dean were here today, he would say he gave his life doing exactly what he swore to do, and encourage us not to be sad, but to honor him by not forgetting. This is exactly what naming Cross Creek Bridge on 198 does. It ensures we don't forget, and that every motorist passes those signs is made aware of the costs of freedom. Again, on behalf of the board of directors for the CHP, I just appreciate the honor of letting us put these signs up in memory. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. At this time, please welcome Commissioner of the California Highway Patrol, Joe Farrow, who will provide the formal address. Commissioner Farrow.
Well, good morning. I'm not sure this will be a formal address. I've been sitting here for the last few minutes, and I've been listening to the traffic out there on the highway. For California Highway Patrol officers, and really law enforcement in general, that sound you hear in the background, it's kind of like our office music. And I'm listening to the trucks go by, I'm listening to the cars go by, and it just causes me to reflect a little bit. So I was sitting there for the last few minutes thinking, do I want to read a formal speech to you, or do I just want to talk? And I just decided that I just want to speak from my heart this morning. I'll tell you a little story that in 1985, I was a young officer working out of North Sacramento when Dean was killed. And I remember when the call came out, we were working afternoon shift, we were told that an officer was severely injured, still alive. It was a very, very tragic incident that just occurred. when Dean passed, one of the officers in the NORSAC office said, you know, we should go to the service. We should go down and pay respects for an officer who was killed in the line of duty. And I never met Dean. I didn't know him. And I said, yeah, I'll go. And so we drove. And we didn't really know where we were going. We were a little confused. We thought we were going to a church, and we were going directly to the gravesite. And I remember when we got there, the commissioner at the time was a fellow by the name of Jim Smith. And I'd never been to a CHP funeral before. And a little bit nervous. We didn't really know anybody, but we were there in uniform, and we were proud to represent the California Highway Patrol. And I remember at the time, Jimmy Smith was talking, and he said that a lot of people will call this incident a real tragedy. And it is tragic. But it becomes a tragedy if and only if we forget the sacrifices of this young man. And we can never forget that. We must always honor him, and we must always remember what he stood for and what he did. And I remember as though that was just yesterday, just a moment ago. And I remember, and I know you don't, I know you met a lot of people. I know Christine and Joan and Alex, on that day that you buried your son and you buried your husband. You were confronted with a lot of people who spoke to you. And I remember that Dave Putnam and I, when we came by, quickly just wanted to offer our condolences. We told you that we would never forget the sacrifices what Dean did. And so in a way, it's bittersweet for me to be here today, being one of the individuals that get to pay tribute and help unveil this site. So 29 years later. And that's what I reflect today. And I think what's important about that day that a lot of people told you that we would never forget. And back then in 1985, we didn't have a lot of memorials at the time. The state memorial was just being built at the time. We had just finished ours. The national memorial was being built. And you really didn't know how the state would remember. But this is how they do that. And that's what today is all about. It's about a day of thanks and a day of appreciation. And as I look out in the audience, I want to first start with the Assembly member in the Senate. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you did. I know we live in a very complex world. There are many, many issues that you have to deal with. There's pros and cons and yeses and nos that go on. But for you to take the time, the effort to honor a California Highway Patrol officer who was killed in the line of duty tells all of us that you got our back. And we do appreciate that. We do appreciate you being here. I look out at our men and women in uniform serving the United States military. Thank you for being here. You too deal with harm's way. Your missions are very difficult. There's conflict in the world, and you're asked to try to bring some peace and stability to a very hostile world sometimes. And I can tell you, I speak on behalf of everybody here. For all of you currently serving, and for all of you who have served the United States military, we owe you too a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation, and thank you for your partnership, and thank you for being here today. As well as our allied agencies, the chiefs of police who are here today, thank you. Your presence is noted. We know you're here. You don't have to say one word, but your presence speaks volumes for your support of the California Highway Patrol. I know Caltrans is here. Sometimes we don't think about Caltrans as being our true partner, but they too are out in harm's way. They work every single day, side by side, the men and women of the California Highway Patrol. It's their responsibility to create the sign, erect the sign, and maintain the sign. That partnership is extremely precious to us, extremely pure, and I want to thank them for the hard work that they do. But I also want to thank the association. Mike Cantrell, serving as the director here today, speaking on behalf of the president and the entire board that is here. Mike did not tell you is that it is the association that sponsors this legislation. It is the association that meets with the membership of the legislature who creates the language. It is the association who walks these bills through the system to get them passed. And Mike, I hope you take back to Doug and the entire board our appreciation, our support, and our partnership that we have. Today would not be possible without your hard work. And thank you once again for that partnership that we do. And I also know, too, that today is two emotions that actually occur here today. One of pride, excitement, and honor, where we honor Dean. The state of California stops everything just for a few minutes to say thank you. Say thank you very, very, very much for your sacrifice. It certainly doesn't repay the debt that we owe you, but it certainly goes a long way in having the state remember, because for generation after generation after generation, thousands, if not millions of people will drive down this highway. And they'll see that sign. And not all of them, in fact, most of them, will not know the story. They won't truly understand what occurred. But all of them will know that the state of California does not just give away these signs. They are earned. The state of California at this time puts up a sign that will outlast every one of us. And they'll know that on those grounds that a young man gave up his life, the performance of his duty, and that's what he's being honored for. And I know for the family, today forces you to go down memory lane. And memory lane sometimes is painful because it makes you reflect on something very tragic and very sad. But what I want you to remember here today is something very, very, very positive. Is that today is a day that we celebrate the life of a young man who gave everything for what he believed in. And that in a very, very difficult, tragic situation, he held true to his oath. And I also want to acknowledge the officers that were involved in that day. I know they're here. Officer Dela Cruz, Sergeant Robert, the Area Commander Ken Myatt, and Chief John Anderson. I believe they're here. I want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for all that you have done in helping to right a very bad situation. We have not forgotten you. We have not forgotten Dean, and we never will. And I think that's what's important about today. And so it is indeed an honor for me, 29 years later, to come back, play a small role in honoring a young man that I never got a chance to meet. But what I wanted to tell you is that I think I speak on behalf of all the uniformed members here today. We all know Dean, because Dean is exactly like us. We went to the same academy that we went to. I had the same instructors. He had the same meals. He was in the same dormitory. He wore the same uniform. He had the same goals and the same dreams and the same desires of all of us. We know him very, very, very well. And we will never forget him nor his sacrifice, and we'll never forget you. God bless all of you, and thank you very much for all of you being here today. Certainly an honor, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrell. I gotta get up and follow that. That's just not even fair. So these ceremonies are about remembrance and reflection. So at this time, I'd like to welcome to the podium Dean's siblings, Sister Sandra, brothers Sandy, Curtis, and Tony, to speak on behalf of the Esquibel family and share their memories.
Honorable guests, family and friends. My name is Sandy Esquibel. I'm Dean's oldest brother. It's been almost 29 years since Dean passed. Who was my brother Dean? Dean was quiet, kept to himself. I remember times when we played Army in the cotton field next to our home in Cutler. We would build forts and then throw dirt clods at each other and pretend they were grenades. Another good time that I remember was the summer going to the creek, go swimming. Dean also loved reading westerns and almost named his son John Wayne. I know Dean loved being in law enforcement. He was especially happy when he got accepted to the CHP Academy and graduated. Even so many years later, I think of Dean often. I miss him terribly. The following is a poem written by Dan Marcoux. I feel it is especially appropriate today. It's called Messages from a Fallen Officer. No officer ever leaves home at night thinking tonight is going to be, tonight I'm going to be killed in the line of duty. Yet the memorial wall is filled with the names of thousands of officers who did leave home, never to return. What would they say if they were allowed one opportunity to send a short note to significant people in their lives? I tried to put myself in the shoes of a fallen officer and instructed words those left behind after their tragic and sudden exodus. This poem is dedicated to the memory of fallen police officers. Messages from a fallen police officer. To my partner, you did all that you could. I fell and you stood. You know, sadness was never my style. These were the cards that we drew. Nothing else more to do. Except remember me, friend, with a smile. To my spouse, don't think me gone, but away, though I wish I could stay. I'm not there, but our love did not end. We have faith, we had love, sure as God above. I feel your love from where that you sent. To my child, I know for you it is hard to be alone in the yard, in that place where we laughed and we played. My boy, know you still give me joy. Live your life as I did, unafraid. To officers left behind, each day you hit the streets to cover your beat. Prepare for the dangers you face. Train hard, wear your vest, you'll be put to the test. Each day with your family embrace. To the criminals, know that I am here and God's plan is so clear. To you there is but one thing to say. You steal, rape, and kill and abuse your free will. Your time has come when there's hell to pay. To all, I seem gone from you now, but I know that somehow we will reunite in another place. For the good they die young is a song awfully sung, but this verse is flawed in its face. You see, the good don't die young, but instead they live on and remembers in many a heart, memories in many a heart. The good that you do not die when you do, but for good, that's not an end, but a start. Dean, I know you're up there with God, looking over us, keeping us safe. We miss you, and there is always a special place in our hearts for you.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sandra Vidal, and I'm Dean's sister. First, I would like to thank everyone that helped make this dedication for my brother Dean possible. My family and I are honored to be here. My brother Dean excelled at everything he set out to do, be it woodworking, track and field in high school, fishing and hunting, and especially being a dedicated father to his son Justin, whom I know he would be proud of today. One of the things he wanted most in his young life was to be a CHP officer, and with much sacrifice and dedication, he accomplished that goal. Though his life was short, he obviously made an impression on people whom today, 29 years later, continue to honor him through this dedication. Thank you everyone who took the time out of their day to be here with us today to honor my brother Dean.
I didn't write anything down. My name's Tony Esquibel, Dean's brother. And when my mom asked me that if there was anything I wanted to say, and I said, yeah, there's a lot of things I'd like to say to my brother. To the officers that are in the line of duty right now, I say, God bless and thank you for the people that made this possible today. I say thank you to my family and our family and friends that I see out here that I haven't seen in a long time. Thank you for showing up and honoring my brother. And one of the things that I thought Dean excelled the best at for me was he was my brother. It's not a day goes by that I don't think about him and I don't miss him. And I do speak for all of my family when I say that we all feel the same way. Chris, Justin, my parents, my mom and dad. And really, that's the one thing I can only say is that Dean excelled at being my brother. And for me, that's just everything. Thank you.
Mine's going to be a little lighthearted if everybody doesn't mind. I think what I want to talk about is the experiences I had and kind of share with you some of the things that Dean and I did together as kids. And some of the things I wanted to share, probably not appropriate for here, so I kind of kept those out. You know, Mom, if you know what I mean. I'm Curtis Esquibel. I'm Dean's youngest brother. I'm the youngest of 4 brothers and a sister. And first of all, I want to thank all of you for attending, and I really want to extend a special thanks to all of you that made this happen. Don't think it doesn't go unnoticed, because yeah, it's 29 years, but it seems like yesterday for some of us. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. When I was deciding on what I wanted to wear today, should I wear a suit? Should I wear pants? Should I wear jeans, shorts? Something came to mind that happened to Dean when he first graduated from the COS Academy. He went to his first interview as to try and get hired on as a police officer. Somewhere through the interview, they asked him, "Do you feel what you're wearing is appropriate for this interview?" And Dean kind of looked down, kind of looked at them. "This is the best I got. This is what I have. This is how Dean dressed." Needless to say, through the end of the interview, somebody told him, "I suggest you wear a suit on your next interview." But that's Dean. What you saw is what you got. There was nothing. He was the person you talked to, and he was the person you saw. I should have typed it a little bigger. I used to go on ride-alongs. So Dean was a reserve in Dinuba before he became a CHP officer, and I used to go on ride-alongs with him. And I'd try and go as much as I can, but I think I was a little pest most of the time and really wasn't helping him. But I always wanted to go on Friday nights and Saturday nights because, as all you officers know, that's when all the excitement happens, right? So, one night we're driving around and And I'm kind of wanting to play with all the buttons and, you know, can I turn the siren on? And can I turn the lights on? And he's like, you know, stop messing with everything. And I'm, you know, of course, as a brother, if we see a sore, we're going to pick at it a little bit, you know what I mean? So he finally pulls over and he says, you touch one more thing, I'm going to handcuff you, I'm going to throw you in the back, and we're going to drive around with you in the back. I believed him. I'm sure he would have. So when a call would come in when we were driving around, he'd look over at me and say, buckle up, here we go. I'd look down. I'm buckled, let's go, you know? And, you know, that was just Dean. We, you know, he was 3 years older than me. We kind of had a little bit, I guess the older ones moved away. It was just him and I. And just bear with me. And I just want to finish off with something that he said to me that didn't mean anything at the time. But I get it now. We stopped for dinner one night on the ride-along, and when we went to pay, the gal says, well, I'm going to give you a 50% discount. You're a police officer, I'm going to give you a discount. And Dean said, no, I'm going to pay full price. And, you know, I'm looking at him going, are you crazy? She wants to give you some money off. So he paid full price, and consequently, I paid full price. And we sat back down to eat, and I was like, what are you doing? And this is what he said, that I get it now. He says, I don't do this for the money, and I don't do it for the discounts. This is what I love doing, and I don't think he'd have had it any other way. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much. That was very touching. It's not easy to get up here and share that stuff, so thank you guys. Did a great job. Please welcome Officer Esquibel's childhood friend, Steve Laneza, to share his memories of his friend Dean.
Thank you for that. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me or don't recognize me after all these years, my name is Steve Laneza. Dean and I were classmates, friends, and competitors for many years. It's good to be back in the Valley, a place that holds many friends, many memories. I'd like to thank all of you for coming to celebrate this dedication to Dean, and I would like to share a little story and fond memories of Dean with all of you. I can hear the tracking of feet around me, running, jump, running, jump. It's a race around the track, the 330 hurdles. To my right is Henry Rivera Jr. To my left, Dean Esquibel. My close friends and fiercest competitors. Across the line, almost a three-way dead heat. Our hearts beating fast and hard. Our breath almost gone. We finally congratulate each other and are happy for the outstanding competition. I can remember even with the fiercest competition between us, no one wanted to concede a loss. And no one wanted to repeat the race that took every ounce of energy from your body. So we just decided decided to move on and back to the friend stage, hang out, congratulate each other, and save it for the next competition. These type of events and competitions is what brought us close and created a strong bond between us. We always were in some kind of competition, traveling all over the state, competing against each other and as a team. And more times than not, coming home smiling and satisfied we did our best. Dean would say to me, "Steve, let's raise the bar." He was talking about the high jump bar. But everything he did in his time with us, he always looked to raise the bar. He soon attended COS. Dean was very busy learning all he could about becoming a police officer. Soon after graduating, he was working in the city of Orange Grove. He was about, maybe 19 years old and was sent out on a call to a local bar. Well, of course, being underage, it was a little weird feeling for him to walk into a bar. As he walked in, the owner pointed in the direction of one of the patrons. It was a large man, very intoxicated. Dean, at only 19, was a skinny officer, not familiar with this location. And he quietly approached the man. He asked him to walk outside with him. He was a little apprehensive. When the man got up, he was very tall and muscular. The man looked down upon him. Dean looked up and again asked him to step outside. The man looked at him and then proceeded to walk to the door. Dean followed right behind. As the door opened, the man quickly slammed the door into Dean and ran. Dean pursued and was right behind him. However, he stepped on a slippery, sandy area and fell. He got up. He seen that the man was far enough away that he would not catch up to him. He quickly reached for his nightstick, and he took a couple of steps towards the man, launched his stick in his direction. He hit the man directly between the shoulder blades, and the man fell straight to the ground. He was a little scared at that point. He immediately approached and handcuffed him before he could get up and run or fight. Definitely a memorable time for Dean and a great story to tell among friends. Well, to step back a little bit more, in the days of our youth, we did many things in our small town. Well, during those days, they're not considered the same as they are now. We could play a joke, and not get shot or thrown in jail. But we could make a mistake and just get by with a warning. Well, I never told my mother this story. But now that I'm older than she was at the time, I think it's safe to say that I could go on with it. We can all laugh. Well, I think Dean had a fascination with law enforcement at a very young age. He was very good at working with his hands, and he made projects in woodshop while in high school. One of the things he made was a nightstick. I could never understand. He made actually a few of those. And it looked very much like the ones the police officers carry. He kept it in his car under the seat. Okay, on with the story. We were both out late one night, and I decided, it's time to go home, and Dean offered to give me a ride. And I said, okay. So I hitched a ride with Dean in his little Dodge Colt. We were traveling at a good rate of speed. We flew over the railroad tracks in Cutler. And right past there was the quick shop where we spotted the county sheriff. He quickly slowed down. Then he turned left in front of the 76 station. Of course, right when he did that, of course, there were two more cruisers right there waiting for us. More officers. And so we just cruised right past them, turned the corner. Before we could get halfway down the block, we were surrounded. Immediately they could tell we were just teenagers, and they said plenty of things to scare us. They threatened to call our parents, and when they found the nightstick, they almost lost it. We explained that, hey, we were the good ones, we're going home early. Not really bad kids at all. No, they still gave us a big reprimanding and explained to us all the things that could happen. They eventually proceeded to let us go, only with a good talking, and of course they kept the nightstick. I'm just glad this is not the day that Dean's wheel fell off the colt. That happened. That happened at school when Dean was turning through the parking lot near the wall. Many of you know what the wall is. Most of you know what I'm talking about. Needless to say, this was probably the most embarrassing moment to date in his life. Could you imagine being a senior in high school and your wheel rolls off your car right in front of your peers? Moving on, Dean was accepted to the Highway Patrol Academy. He worked hard and found out that he came just this close to breaking the record for the obstacle course. Being in the academy, it was his dream, and he was very happy and scared at the same time. And also, he was also a proud father and excited to come home to visit his family and his young boy. One day, he brought home a toy cruiser with flashing lights and siren. He had his son open it and play with the toy with all the amusement of a young child. Although I think Dean enjoyed it much more. I truly remember the twinkle in Dean's eye when he knew that he would get married. And very excited, with a happy twinkle when he found out he would be a father. And later to see him with his family was just spectacular. I will never forget how happy and full of joy he was during these times. At this point in his life, I don't think he thought anything could be better. I have many fond memories of Dean. These few of our youth, I hope, will give you a chuckle and help you to remember the good times, and let us all celebrate his love for life as it lives within us. There's an abundance of stories, like how Dean and Chris met, their wedding day, when he became a powder tough cheerleader, and more. I'm hoping throughout the day, as we visit with some of you, I'll hear some of these stories, your versions. I just wanted to thank all the officers and all his friends, family, and associates, all for coming today. It's a much bigger turnout than I expected. And just wanted to close in saying, the best proof of one's existence is how they are remembered. When they are gone, and I remember those who have gone before me, I'm thankful for another year with my family, my friends, with all of you, and my time on this earth. God bless, and thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Well, real good. Part of the speech is missing. Nice. Oh well. The time has come to unveil the sign. Christine, Justin, Joan, would you accompany me? Help me do this? Alex, join me here, and all three of you guys. Alex, come up. Okay. So Joan, Alex, Christine, and Justin, on behalf of the California Association of Highway Patrolmen, I'd like to present each of you your own miniature sign. Our hope is that this small token Highway Patrol to the Esquibel family and letting you know that we will never forget. All right, the time has come for thank yous, and there's quite a few of them. The folks who contributed to make this event possible: 1199 Foundation, Hanford Chamber of Commerce, Tachi Palace Hotel and Casino, Yosemite Falls Cafe, Save Mart, Cost Less, Food for Less Supermarkets, Starbucks, and Walgreens, for their generous donation to the refreshments and hors d'oeuvres that some of you had this morning and we will retire to here in a minute and enjoy. I'd also like to add a personal and special thank you to Hanford Public Information Officer Adam Baresi. He did a lot of work on this thing. I think he's probably going to go bald. Retired CHP officer and our current senior volunteer and local historian, Mike Spicer. He just did the Body Ventura in the back. Caltrans District 6 personnel. Thanks, Bob. Specifically, Tammy Conrado, the Lemoore and Tulare Yards, and the staff of the Hanford area. Your dedication and commitment to this endeavor is greatly appreciated and is a testament to your true character. To the Esquibel family, thank you for allowing us to honor your loved one today. His name will be memorialized on State Route 198 as a reminder of not only your sacrifice, but as a continuous reminder for those who pass it of the importance of overall traffic safety. The timing of this sign allows Dean's son Justin and siblings, who were very young at the time of his death, a clear understanding associated with Dean's sacrifice and the importance of this honor. My hope is that when you pass the sign, you feel a sense of pride. A pride knowing that solely with the presence of this sign, Dean is continuing to provide the message of safety, courage, and duty to the motoring public. As for the community, my hope is that this sign serves as a reminder of the dangers involved in our profession and the dedication to service we, who wear the badge, must take out with us every day. And for the officers of the Hanford area, my hope is that it provides a reminder to them to place their safety first, last, and always, to ensure that they may go home to their families at the end of their shift. After 28 years, and even in death, Officer Esquibel continues to exemplify the CHP motto of safety, service, and security. Thank you again for being present today to celebrate Dean's life and memory. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the California Highway Patrol Hanford area and the entire Esquibel family, thank you for attending this dedication and sharing in this special tribute. Will you please join us inside for food and refreshments and memories.